Although baseball is just a game, which is the same as pretty much every other sport, there is something about this game that resonates with people, from tear-jerking moments or periods of heart-wrenching pain caused by your favorite team, to events that uplift the spirits of those who come together to love the game. There are no limits to the emotional roller coaster that America's favorite pastime can take us on. Let's take a look at some of the most emotional moments in MLB. Number 10. Mike Trout and Gavin Edelson home run. At number 10, we have a look at the strong connection that was developed between a player and one of his adoring fans. Back in 2018, Mike Trout, the center fielder for the Los Angeles Angels, and his biggest fan, Gavin Edelson, had the fortune of coming together and making acquaintance with one another. Gavin was truly an avid fan of the center fielder. By the age of 7, he knew everything about Trout, and you could hardly convince him that there was a better player in MLB. As fortune would have it, Gavin finally met his biggest idol when he traveled to watch the Orioles go toe-to-toe with the Los Angeles Angels. Turns out he had a plan to be noticed by Trout because he had held up a noticeable poster for Trout to see. Overwhelmed by emotion, Trout knew he had to meet this loving fan. He even invited the little kid out for batting practice. My heart breaks for this moment. Going forward, the relationship between Trout and the kid developed into a strong one within the year. And by 2019, Gavin was gifted one of Trout's bats by the man himself, and he was able to get a home run from his favorite center fielder.
Trout skies one out toward left center field. This one's hit well to the wall, and it will...
Take a look at that beauty. Number 9. Father's Day home run. Another player who sent the ball flying out of the park for his biggest fan is Tony Womack. Unlike Trout, however, Womack's biggest fan was none other than his own dad, the very person who mentored him and taught him the ropes of the game. Unfortunately, this commemoration of their relationship came only after Womack Sr. passed away in 2001. Womack was so distraught by his father's passing that he had to take the week off. However, when he returned to the field a few weeks later, he couldn't help but express his grief in the most beautiful way possible on the baseball diamond. As you can see, he smashed that ball right into the crowd, on Father's Day too. In fact, the ball was even caught by someone who was old enough to be someone's dad. No doubt Womack Sr. was cheering for his son from the heavens. Number 8. A monumental return to the game. More recently, the world was compelled to break into a smile when we watched Trey Mancini of the Baltimore Orioles back in 2021. This is when Trey Mancini began noticing that he was suffering from a drawn-out bout of fatigue for weeks. Worried about his health, he soon learned that he was suffering from stage 3 colon cancer. Lord. Just as he was enjoying a career playing baseball, the young man suddenly had to deal with his mortality 2 weeks past his 28th birthday. Eager to survive, he was forced to sit out baseball while enduring 4.5 hours of chemotherapy every other week. Incredibly and thankfully, this seemed to work because soon he made a full recovery. This heart-lifting news was only topped by the moment the first baseman made his return to the game on April 2, 2021. Everybody was on their feet to welcome this fighter back to the field. We can only be grateful for his healthy return to the game. Number 7. Father-son moment. Next up, we take another special moment that is rare in any sport, let alone the game of baseball. This occurred when 20-year-old Ken Griffey Jr. and the 41-year-old Ken Griffey Sr. became the first father-son duo in the history of the MLB when they turned out for the Mariners. As awesome as this was already, the pair also became the first father-son duo to make back-to-back home runs in a game in MLB history as well. Can you actually believe that? Take a look at this wonderful sequence.
Well, he's helping it reach back up there now. Well hit to center field. Devon White going back. Gone! A 2-run home run. And he hits one well to left center field. Dante Bichette. Back-to-back home runs.
He used to change his diapers. What a life. This reminds us of how special life is. Luckily, this kind of moment isn't just shared by the Griffeys. Take a look at this kid who was lucky enough to pitch during a game. As if this isn't cool enough, take a look at their reaction when they realized that they were pitching to their dad, who they thought was still in Afghanistan. What a moment. Number 6. Death on the field. Our list takes a sad turn when we enter our number 6 moment. We're talking about a harrowing moment that occurred in 2019. That was when Albert Almora Jr. was swinging hard for the Chicago Cubs. Unfortunately, his foul ball was made worse when he learned that it had made contact with a 2-year-old girl in the crowd. Tearing through the air at 100 kilometers per hour, the contact sent the little girl to the hospital, much to Almora's horror. As you can see, both the Cubs and their opponents were distraught by this horrific incident.
Got some guys that everybody's high on down there.
Yeah, no question, and I think our guys have a tough time cracking our team. That's one of the things I said in spring training.
Hopefully the little girl and the player will recover from this terrible moment together.
Yeah, but it happened. And, with God willing, I'll be able to have a relationship with this little girl for the rest of my life. But just prayers right now. That's all I really can control.
Number 5. Piazza's world reviving home run. Another heart-wrenching moment in the game occurred back in September 21, 2001, just 10 days after the terrible 9/11 attacks. This happened to be the first home game for the Mets after the evil acts carried out by the terrorists on September 11th. Despite such a hard-to-endure moment, the New York Mets and the Atlanta Braves pulled it together to help the fans continue with life. This was when Mike Piazza made one of the most iconic home runs in MLB history.
Lopez wants it away.
And it's hit deep to left center. Andrew Jones on the run. This one has a chance. Home run! Mike Piazza, and the Mets lead 3-2.
Till today, the world is still cheering as the Mets player smashed the ball out of the park to give his team a 3-2 lead against his opponents. What a beautiful way to show the world that we would always persevere. Number 4. Emotional retirement. Another emotional moment in the game was when the MLB had to deal with the retirement of Prince Fielder, the 6-time All-Star first baseman and designated hitter.
And delivers. Fielder to right and deep. Get up! Get up! Get out of here!
Acknowledged as the youngest hitter to make 50 home runs in the history of the National League, as well as the record holder for the most home runs and runs batted in a season for the Milwaukee Brewers. Everybody knew that Fielder breathed the game. When it was time for the first Brewer to ever win the Home Run Derby to retire, he opened his heart to all the fans who watched this man hang his boots at the age of 32 due to injury.
Just told me since, 2 spinal fusions, I gotta, can't play Major League Baseball anymore.
It takes a brave man to share such a vulnerable moment with the world. The game will surely miss him. Number 3. Record-breaking home run. We enter the first of our podium positions by lifting your spirits with the record-breaking moment. This is when Aaron Judge got the chance to break a record that stood for more than 50 years. He did so by breaking the American League record for the most home runs in a single season, which was set by Roger Maris in 1961 when he hit 61 home runs. This is something that the likes of Babe Ruth, one of the greatest hitters in the game, couldn't do. Well, step aside for Aaron Judge, who smashed the record by making 62 home runs in a season. The record set after the 122-year existence of one of the best baseball leagues in the world. We tip our hats for you, Mr. Judge. Take your place among the greats of the game. Number 2. Heartbreaking retirement. From a great moment to a desperately sad one, we travel back in time to November 7th, 2017, which is when the MLB lost one of the legends of the game, Roy Halladay. This unfortunate event occurred when he rode his private plane over the Gulf of Mexico. At the age of 40, the 8-time All-Star player and the 2-time Cy Young Award winner met his demise when the plane crashed. Despite this harrowing death, it was also revealed that the real cause may have been due to a dangerous cocktail of prescription drugs, according to his autopsy. The drugs that he took before the plane ride were muscle relaxers, sleeping pills, and morphine. This had left many wondering if he had done this on purpose, or if this was a reckless mistake. Either way, the game was forced to mourn the demise of one of its greatest pitchers.
And against Johnson, swinging on strikes for his 5th strikeout. And a call, strike 3, 93. Holiday has thrown a no-hitter.
We hope he's resting in peace. Number 1. The lifting of a curse. Finally, at number 1, we take a look at the Chicago Cubs, who had to endure a strenuous existence throughout their 148-year history in the game of professional baseball. That's because throughout the last century and a half, the Cubs had failed to give the fans the wins they deserved. Heck, throughout the time, the best they did was make 21 playoff appearances, and although they actually do have 3 championships, 2 of them came in 1907 and 1908. I'm not sure if even some of our grandparents were even alive back then. How do they even have fans? In fact, they've even lost 7 World Series in a row. Good God. Perhaps this was due to the curse that many believe the Cubs suffer from. Back in the day, an aggrieved fan who brought his goat to the stadium swore they would never win another championship after kicking the fan and his strange pet out of the stadium. However, things came to an end in 2016. Despite losing 3-1 in the World Series, the team fought off any bad vibes to persevere, and in Game 7, Mike Montgomery was able to give the fans the winning moment that they had waited for over a century. Good God, what a moment. What a game.